some fun with it. And so, welcome to the CrossFit Canada podcast, a place for Canadian affiliate owners and coaches to share some stories and chat. And today, I have another great affiliate owner, a local to Ontario. I try not to make it too Ontario focused, but it is nice to be able to lean on the
cool.
neighbors, Greg Cox of CrossFit 1827.
Yeah.
So, Greg, even though I just introduced yourself, we kick it off with I'd like you to introduce yourself, your affiliate, maybe how long you've either been affiliated or been the owner. And question of the day, we did this this morning for a new person was, are you a winter person or a summer person? And I know everyone will say summer, but like I say winter, like, can you tolerate winter?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll start off. My name's Greg Cox. I've been with CrossFit 1827 for just over 7 years. I was a member for 3 years. And then we got through most of COVID. I say we, the membership.
Okay.
And then middle of COVID, towards the end of it, the owner had asked, he took on another career in Calgary, basically. And so it approached me asking if I wanted to take it over.
Yeah.
Coincidentally enough, I had done my L1 a few months prior to that, just randomly more than anything, just so I would be a better classmate, more so than anything else.
Yeah.
I had never wanted or thought of running an affiliate or felt qualified, I guess. But yeah, as soon as he asked, the first word out of my mouth was absolutely. And to the point that my wife was beside me kind of going, no.
Yeah, she's like hitting you after.
Wait.
It was a quiet drive home. Like, what did you just get us into?
Yeah, as soon as the words came out of his mouth, yes was the first word out of my mouth.
Yeah.
And then we kind of hammered away at it to make it happen. And that was early October 2021.
Okay.
It was official November 1st, give or take, 2021. Then we got locked down again, of course, a few weeks later. And that was 4 years ago. So I was a member for 3 and now I'm an owner for 4. And loved every minute. Yeah.
That's great. And we'll unpack all that. And then the more important one.
Yeah. Summer.
Do you tolerate winter, or are you like team summer all through and through and you despise the winter?
No, I don't despise it. I like it less as I get older, I guess.
Sure.
Growing up, I grew up in Nova Scotia and we grew up on the lakes. So we wanted it cold and we wanted winter because we were outside all the time.
Yeah.
I find if I have a reason to get outdoors, I really enjoy the summer the winter.
Yeah. If you dress for it, it can be fun.
Exactly.
I'm the same way. I've always grown up on a lake, same thing with the cottage. So it's like I wanted it to be cold so there'd be ice because then my playground just expanded.
Yeah, exactly.
And
it looks good. It makes you feel good.
Yeah.
Makes you feel tougher. I guess kind of like CrossFit, right?
That's right. So you started as a member at 1827. Do you remember your first CrossFit workout and what brought you into to try it out? What was the push that got you there?
Yeah, so I was a member at another gym here in town. And then a few friends joined 1827. I was kind of in between gyms. I was working out of my garage a lot, doing CrossFit style workouts.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of our neighbors, he went and he just spoke really highly of it. So we went, and it was around October as well. I don't remember what the workout was. I think it was Chief, but I do remember my second workout was Kelso, and I almost left. I was like, this is not for me.
Yeah.
It was absolutely it was the first and last time I had ever done it. It's never been programmed again. But yeah, I loved it from the start. It was fun. It was a challenge. Growing up playing like competitive hockey, it felt like a lot of the positive sides of competition were in those classes.
Yeah.
I enjoyed having people beside me kind of suffering, doing the same things beside me. And I always liked how the previous owner, the classes were never too big. Okay. But if you had 10 to 12 people in the class, and kind of going like to the side, right now our classes are capped at 12 as well. but you'll have 9 people doing the workout of the day differently than each other, sort of thing. So I
Right.
never felt like I needed to keep up. That was always the culture at 1827, where they and now we prescribe the workout. But as we know with CrossFit, scaled modifications, all of that. So it was a great environment to start off fresh and not really know what I was doing.
So when you said, so clearly then fitness has been important to you, as you said, you played competitive hockey. I see you got the Kawhi Leonard shot over your shoulder there. So a big sports guy, yeah.
Yeah.
Just in general. Um, so for you, athletics and sports and whatnot is just what's in your being.
Yes, absolutely. Like I was always fortunate to say that I grew up going to the gym. I didn't always know what I was doing, but I was getting in the door. I was doing that. I
Yeah,
grew up on a street with 12 boys my age, and we were like the prototypical outdoors from morning till night, street hockey, football, baseball, manhunt, whatever.
yeah,
Um, so athletics has always been really important in my life. My wife she has a degree in musical theater, so dance has always been around for her. And our 2 girls are both competitive dancers, track, volleyball, soccer. So it's a big part of our life for sure.
that's cool. And I already liked right away, like the one thing I picked up on was clearly the person who did it before you did it really well.
Yeah.
And you, meaning like at 1827, you
Yeah.
wanted to continue that legacy. What was your initial impact aside from Kalsu? I mean, clearly they did a good job, because if you can do your second workout as Kalsu and
Yeah.
come back for your third workout, you know that there's something else there besides the fitness. So
Yeah.
what was some of the initial things that caught your eye stepping into affiliate from your garage?
Um, the space was one for sure. It's a beautiful space. I found that the owner, his name was Dan Neeson, and his partner Amber, they they had at that point, I would probably guess when I joined, maybe 150-ish. They had been around for a year or two, but I didn't feel like I didn't feel that I was the new guy. There were no clicks there, which was always something that now that I'm on this side of the fence, so to speak, or on behind this curtain,
Yeah,
it's harder to do that than it looks. When you go into a really good gym and there are no clicks and the culture is high and people are actually looking out for you, that's a lot harder to do than people talk about. So that was always something that now I didn't know what that was, but now looking back, I know that was probably the main thing.
hmm,
They never wrote down, and I still don't to this day. We don't write down if you RX the workout. Like, we care if you do, and if you
yep,
do, that's great. But it's not the intention. So it's at the end of the class when you're going around, how'd you do, rounds, reps. It's never, no one ever yells RX. And we never say what was the weight you lifted or did you do the pull up or the ring rows. And that was always something that, again, as a new person to CrossFit, I didn't realize that that was unique maybe to their space or to some spaces. Like it just was the way that it was. So that
yeah.
was something that really kept me coming back, um, and not afraid to ask questions or to learn because I wasn't putting myself in a bad position to RX all the time.
And what's interesting about that you say that, like, not that we had any intention of going there, because we don't do RX either. Because same thing, it's like someone could be like 1222 RX,
Yeah,
but you stop writing on the. We use a whiteboard.
same.
It's like was that
Yeah.
RX, right? Like you're not going to have that conversation in
It's
the
a
middle.
very slippery slope because
Yeah,
now as coaches, do we start going, that's a no rep. That's a no rep. Like,
and the reason why I brought this point up specifically is when you see other podcast discussions or social media posts about rep shavers,
yeah,
is that foreign to you? Because it's foreign to us, because
yeah,
we don't actually have rep shavers, because we don't worry about that type of stuff.
exactly. We don't see it. We don't. nobody comes to mind. Of our 300 or 290 people, no one comes to mind. Sometimes the kids, like, because I have to tell them to slow down.
Yeah.
But we don't have rep shaving at our gym that I can think of.
Well, and the irony is like, yeah, is it may not be, there might be people shaving reps, but I guess what you don't have is someone sitting there like watching someone else like Carl only did 10 reps.
Yeah.
So but I think go ahead.
We do it, and I'm somebody that will do it myself, where if the workout is, let's say, 50 double unders, 15 pull-ups, 10 front squats,
Sure.
15-minute AMRAP. That was today's workout.
Okay.
I knew I didn't warm up properly for my pull-ups, so I turned it into rounds of 10. So in our app, you can write scaled, you can write fitness, you can write all these different things. So I know that I wrote down, I put my time because I did the 15-minute AMRAP, but I did it differently than other people did. And I didn't want people to go, okay, I need to try to keep up with Greg. He did this today. So we allow that. We have options where you're going to scale things similarly to where you scale the weight. You can scale the reps as well if you're keeping the same intention of the workout, right?
Yeah, that's what's interesting about like rep shaving is, well, effective threshold training might actually mean, hey, today I need you to scale the reps.
Yeah.
Instead of scaling the weight, I want you, or the pull-ups, I want you to do the pull-ups, but I want you to do 3 sets of 3 for the whole 15 minutes.
Yeah. And that's where coaching comes in, right? That's why we keep it at 12 people. For our gym, it works well for that number.
Yeah.
I know other gyms are bigger and other gyms keep it smaller, but we find 12 works really well for us, and we're able to manage the 9 or 10 people that are doing it differently than what's written on the board.
Sure.
Because of that.
That's cool. So I want to go back to your level 1. Were you, because it was in that COVID dark time, was it one you were able to do in person or were you online?
Yeah, no, I did it in person. I did it in Cambridge.
Okay.
So not too far from here. I think there were about 50 of us, and it was probably one of the first in-person things that we were allowed to get back to. I do remember sitting really far spread out.
Yeah.
And I remember Rez was watching us do the test. And I remember looking up, giving the Vince Vaughn old school thing, like, because it was everyone was like just so almost not used to being alone or being in a group of people. You were just like this, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a great weekend, of course. I recommend any of our members. We've been able to host 2 or 3 a year. So like the L1 or the L2. And we try to get as many people as we can to these seminars because they're phenomenal. I sit in, if we host it, I sit and I watch all weekend again. I've done probably 6 L1s and 5 L2s at this point.
And it's just exactly. I always tell people, I was just talking to Val last on the podcast, like if you haven't submitted a request to host a seminar, it's easy to do. And like,
all you have to do is ask.
Yeah. You just
literally ask.
So were you for your L1, was it so all the chairs, because we hosted one in 2021 as well, I believe, or 22. Everyone was 6 feet apart. And then you had to wear masks walking around. But then all the breakout groups were actually, ours was in the summertime because all the breakout groups were outside so that everyone could
we were indoors.
Yeah.
And I remember wearing a mask for most of it. Yeah, I do. It was indoors the whole time, but it was around August, September. Yeah.
And then, but as you said, you wanted to be a better member.
At that point, I was drinking the Kool-Aid. Like I couldn't get enough of CrossFit. That was about 2 years after I joined, because I joined 2018. So 3.5 years.
Yeah.
And I had no intention of coaching. I never thought I'd be a good coach. And that was probably the most difficult part, or one of the difficult parts about going from member to my new role. Like, I still have trouble saying like owner. It was a tough transition for that. So when I took the L1, I didn't do it to be coaching. I never anticipated asking to be a coach. I
Mhm.
just enjoyed learning. And I, as you get older, the opportunities to learn are a little bit less than when we're younger, of course, and certainly not being able to choose what we learn, because now that we're at a university and school. So it was a great weekend. I did it alone and I loved it.
Well, you get to be a begin to your point, you get to be a beginner again. Like
Yeah,
when do you get to be see something new through fresh eyes?
right. And it's so similar to when we get a lot of emails or calls from people wanting to join the gym. And probably like you'll get people that say they know how to do everything. And then you get people that are like, I've never done a class, I've never done anything CrossFitty in your life. And in my opinion, this is the people we want because they're coachable, they're brand new. I always think about how difficult it would have been to send that first email or that phone call to some place brand new, right? Thinking I'm
Mhm.
going to start this new thing. And those are the ones that stick around, at least for us, anyhow. The ones that come in with an ego and think they know how to do everything. They You almost need to change their mindset and
Yeah.
see if they're coachable. So to get to your point about going back to learning something brand new, that's probably why I did the L1 the first time.
What appreciation does that give you for the new member process then as well? And I don't mean specifically like what you do, but I guess the hospitality that you put towards that beginner who's truly
Yeah.
shaking, they're so nervous, you know. How important is that person to you?
I mean, the gym now is built on referrals. We don't advertise. We don't do any sort of social media for new members. We haven't. And it's all because of all the new people that joined that were fresh.
Mhm.
Like we're at about 70 to 75% female. A lot of our members start off with that email like, I'm terrified to do this. I've heard great things, but I'd love to come in and try a class. And they're the ones that we reply to within 10 minutes, like 5 minutes if we can. And first thing we always say is thank you for reaching out. And those are the ones that you really mean it because you know that they might have been sitting on that email for days, or they might have put it off for days before sending it. They might have written it and deleted it weeks and weeks ago, right? So those are the
Mhm.
ones that we try to really accommodate the most, because they've probably crossed a few hurdles that other people maybe hadn't to join the gym.
Mhm. Do you think that's an underutilized, and this is obviously very general, but still, do you think that's an underutilized um, focus in the affiliate world is like not the new person, but just how they're kind of guided
Yeah,
from contact
absolutely.
to start? Yeah.
Yeah, there's a great book that I read called Unreasonable Hospitality,
Yeah.
and I've read it 3 or 4 times, and it's just all about essentially over delivering in everything. The other thing that we are really good at, and it took time to get good at it, is you think of all these moments that, like, they're called recurring moments. So you think of these things that keep happening. So when a new person shows up, typically, if your gym is like mine, the only staff member on site is the coach,
Yeah.
and they're probably coaching, right? You don't have somebody working the front desk. If you're lucky, you've got another coach in the class. So typically, what happens is when a new person walks in the door, unannounced, I should say, it's your open time. So there's a class going on. So we don't want them standing around. So that's one of the recurring moments that we always try to think about, like, okay, somebody's going to do this. How do we make this the most accessible or easy way for that to happen? Whenever we have new people join, we always ask them to show up 10 minutes early. That way we're in between those classes because our classes don't go back to back to back. We've
Okay.
got buffers in between for that reason. Um, and then the intro, and then we show them around the gym, we show them the space, show them how to use our app. So it's all little things that you try to avoid them having to ask any questions at that point. And by doing it so many times, we're able to figure out what their next question would be and give it to them so that they don't feel like it's always like, oh, I'm sorry if this is a stupid question. But so that's one of our recurring moments. When we hear that, we go, okay, we need to figure out how to answer that before they ask it.
What was your background when you started CrossFit? I mean, I know athletically you played sports, but professionally, what did you do?
Yeah, so I moved here because when I was in Halifax, I was in school. I have a psychology degree.
Okay.
And then one year we were snowboarding, just some buddies and I, and the chairlift got broken. We were stuck on the chairlift. We were frozen up there for 20 minutes, and we were like, there's got to be a better way to do this. Like, what are we doing? We're sitting in the middle of the woods, freezing our asses off.
Yeah.
So we applied to cruise ships. So I ended up getting on a cruise ship. I lived on that for a little over a year, which is where I met my wife. We moved to Guelph because of her degree in musical theater, and she had an agent here. So there was more opportunity in Ontario than versus Nova Scotia. When I got here, though, I didn't know anyone, and I had never been, truthfully, to Ontario before. So I got introduced to a couple of friends of her father, my father-in-law now, and one of them owned a transportation company.
Okay.
So we just hung out, and he goes, yeah, so do you want to start Monday? And I didn't realize it was a job interview. I thought we were just hanging out. So I did that for 11 years. I ran sales for a transportation company.
Okay.
That took me to 2018. 2018, I left there, started my own transportation company. Not because I thought I could do it better, but I just thought I could do it, basically. So I treated my last year at this old company as university, which goes back to wanting to learn a lot, right? Learned how to do the business. I left that, started fresh on a Monday with nothing, essentially. Built that up to a pretty successful business. So I was doing that when I joined CrossFit 1827 as a member. And then when Dan had asked if I would take over as the affiliate owner, I was still running this other transportation business. And so when I said yes to that, I managed both for a few years.
Okay.
And then just this year, I ended up selling the transportation company so that I could focus 100% on the gym. So I had a lot of sales, I guess. I don't really like to call it that, but a lot of people experience, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Well, but to your point, yeah, like because sales can get a bad rep, and I know, at various affiliate gatherings, sales becomes a topic, and how do people feel about sales? But oftentimes
necessary evil.
but yeah, like especially like in the cliche, like car salesman, or trying to sell you a mattress cover because you bought a mattress. But if you're in transportation, like sales is completely different. Like you're solving a problem for a company. And really, I know some people like Daniel Chaffee says sales is a transference of enthusiasm. But like I've always liked it as sales is basically just offering a solution to a problem.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how I felt. And that's one reason, like I never got into transportation because I wanted to be in the trucking business.
Right.
But I enjoyed taking puzzles. So somebody had something in LA that needed to get to Toronto. And then I had to find somebody here that could fit what they had for the price that they were willing to pay. And it was always solving problems. And that was always kind of a cool thing. So I truthfully think that it transferred well to what I'm doing now, talking to people and talking to different people, because I had a lot of different industries as clients with the transportation company. We could cross a bit of everything. And as we know with the gym, everybody's a little bit different there.
Yeah. And that they all like, I mean, so exactly like transportation or logistics, like that's the common thread that weaves a bunch of different businesses and people and successes together. And like really fitness can be an analogy for both. Like it's fitness is what weaves a bunch of different people together in the affiliate. And we know that as our communities.
Yeah, one thing I did this year, I don't know if you've considered this, but it's been a pretty big success, is we started a business directory for just our members. So
Cool.
we're at 42, 41 or 42 this month. And then every month I just adjust it based on if we get a new member or if somebody moves away. But yeah, we've got 42 business owners. So at first I created a PDF doc with all of the linkable websites, and now it's actually on our gym website. So if anybody needs anything, because you know what a class is like, oh, I need
Yeah.
an electrician. You go, oh, Johnny or Brandon or Jimmy. So now everybody knows if they need something, they can go to our webpage on the website and then view that. And it has a bit of a brief description of what everybody's doing and how they do it and where they service. But that's been something we did about 2 months ago, and it's been pretty cool to see, because again, everybody's very different. We have one thing in common, at least, which is we choose CrossFit.
Yeah.
But everybody comes from such different backgrounds.
Did you get that idea from Carrie Ann's banner wall?
Yeah, the one that we were at in Collingwood there.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
That
and
was,
go ahead.
That was kind of the kick in the butt to do it, because I had, in the back of my mind, I had always been like, man, there's so many people here. And anytime somebody asks me something, I would say, well, yeah, you just haven't met Mike. He's in the morning class or the evening class. And so to hear that she did it so well, that kind of lit a fire in me to do that.
And I mean, it's, people like to say, what do I get for my affiliation? It's like, what are you willing to pull out of your affiliation? Because
yeah,
here it is like you went to the summit, participated in that, pulled an idea. You didn't have to act on it right away, but you acted on it eventually.
Yeah.
And then now you have this valuable thing that's added a ton of depth to your business.
Yeah, and people love it. They love it. And because as an affiliate owner, it takes a lot of support from a lot of people to keep it going. We know that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that we don't have the opportunity to support the members as well, right? And it's a great way to do that. I'm trying to think of ways to do it for people who aren't business owners or maybe running businesses, but for the time being, it's been pretty successful.
Yeah.
And it was a little shocking. Like, I knew we had a lot. I thought maybe 25, 30, but yeah, 42 at the moment.
Wow. And those are 42 members who have their own businesses, and then that's what their business is?
Yeah, that's right.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was curious about like what your professional background was before this, because like I would say now, like just in this conversation, like, so you're an entrepreneur. Like, do you believe you're an entrepreneur, and did you have like an awakening, or was it just something like, I don't know, I just kind of ended up in this path?
Yeah, I don't I say yes to a lot of things.
Okay.
It drives my wife a little crazy because I always think I can do stuff. I think I can do it.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to find out that I can't, in a way, if that makes sense.
Sure.
I guess that's an entrepreneurial spirit where you're just willing to put the work in. I said it to somebody else the other day. I was like, all I think about is this place, like the first thing in the morning and the last thing when I go to bed. And I wouldn't change that. I'm always thinking of, I would say I'm more creative than entrepreneurial, but in a different way. I'm not creative like my wife with her dance and my girls with their dance.
Mm-hmm.
But creating a space or trying to replicate that feeling of like a great spot with a great culture, that's what I am trying to be creative when it comes to. So I guess it's entrepreneurial, but maybe a little bit optimistic too. That's the Nova Scotian in me.
When you get that much snow and wind out there, you have to look for the bright side of something.
Yeah, you're waiting for the blue skies.
Yeah.
Or you just make use of what you got.
No, it's true. And but it's, to your point, like, is can you create a great environment? I know you said you have a beautiful space, but like, can you create the environment before you create the space?
Yeah, that's a great question, right? Like, I would say the environment makes this. I think a nice space doesn't matter if you don't have a nice environment or the good environment. If you've got people coming that are toxic or clicky, no matter what you've got, it's not gonna feel good. It's the feeling that you're looking for, right?
And that would be people's like culture, right? And
Yeah.
so back to like you kind of taking over, like was that culture, do you feel like was already the seeds were planted and then you just had to make sure not to mess it up?
I think so. I also feel like the culture was there. Otherwise, I wouldn't have stayed, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't have kind of like been like, I want more, and gone and got the L1. And the culture was certainly there. I feel like COVID changed a lot of what the culture was or what people wanted from it. Because at first it was a competitive gym. Like there were people there that were going for the competitive stuff.
Sure.
We're now, I would say we have a competitive group, but the intention of the gym isn't to build people that are going to competitions on the weekend and just dominating there. That's not our intention. It was pretty eye-opening, like to live through the lockdowns, because I knew what I missed. Maybe you weren't able to verbalize it, but I knew what I missed. But then when I took over and then we got locked down a few weeks later, and I started reading the emails of everybody that was like missing the space, it was being around each other that was what was missed, and the community part of it, which obviously that word gets used a lot, but that's what was missing. So that kind of changed maybe not changed, because I think that's how I always felt, but now I had the opportunity to kind of like dial in on it. So I moved away a bit from the competitive stuff and just really focused on creating an environment that people felt welcome. Trying to know a little bit about absolutely every member, trying to be able to have like genuine conversations with every member. I remember with the coaches, we'd always talked about trying to know 2 to 3 things about every single person. It's almost impossible, but if you try, and of the 11 coaches, if Emily knows 200 of the 300 and Matt knows 200 of the 300, like it's going to work out, right? That's where the intention kind of changed for me, going from the competitive side of it to the longevity side of it, and creating just an environment that people that looked forward to coming and were happy each time they were there.
Which, ironically, because you are at this point, the time we're speaking of, are a new business owner, like you really can't build a, I don't want to say Rich Froning would beg to differ, but I was going to say you can't build a successful long-term business just on the backs of like full-on elite fitness.
I don't think so.
Like competitive, and when I say, I mean competitive elite fitness. But if we are forging or striving towards elite fitness for individuals,
yes,
in a place where they come together to make that happen, then it becomes a very easy foundation to build a business on.
Yeah, absolutely. It all comes down to goals, right? What your goal is, or what your definition of fitness is, I suppose. We have people that enjoy going to competitions, and we support them, and we love that part of it. And the more that they go, the more other members kind of get pulled up by that, right? We have a lot of members that have never competed, and if they did, other gyms would be surprised and say, where did these guys come from? Because they're just animals.
Yeah.
And then like myself, I work out 6 times a week. I'll do UG because I think that's a kind of a really cool event outdoors. You get a bunch of people, and we took 50 people to that this summer, and it was a lot of fun. But I find I just get anxious at competitions. Even the open, sometimes I'm out of breath before it's 3, 2, 1, go sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I know it's not for me, and that's fine. I get what I want out, and I get what I need out of the classes and the CrossFit itself.
So you take over when you basically agreed to become the new licensee of record or affiliate owner. Had
Yep.
you ever coached a class at that point?
No, that was tough. And I was fortunate we had a head coach, Curtis Rattray, and he had been there for a few years prior to that. And he only recently left about a year and a half ago. So I leaned on him heavily.
Yeah.
And we started putting in a lot of systems which weren't there for no reason to fault Dan. He just didn't have them in there. And so we started doing a lot of coach auditing. We started having a lot of checklists that were responsible for each coach. We came up with how to onboard coaches, starting just from doing the whiteboard talk. Then you can do part of the warm up, and then some of the mobility, and then maybe the lift piece. Then maybe you're going to warm them up for the workout, that sort of thing. So we had a lot of systems that we put in place through Curtis that helped bring me along a little bit.
Okay.
And then I had to shadow a lot. New coaches at the gym shadow before we're ever ready to let them out on their own. So I got brought along really slowly, and I still, maybe not so much now, but the first few years it was definitely a bit of an imposter syndrome, because I went from being this part of the gym to now having my back to the whiteboard sort of thing, and leading a class of people that I had already been in classes with quite a bit as a member. So that was a tough transition for me personally, but looking back, I was accepted really easily, I think, with the new role and the new transition. But no, I had never coached before. I never considered it.
What's something that you were worried about when you first started coaching that when you look back now, it's fair to say like that was a little silly to have to worry about, when that's not what people are interested in?
I was worried that I would break people. Like I would tell them to do the wrong thing and they would just not do the proper warm up, because everybody's great at following the coach's warm up. I was a little bit worried that and this didn't last long because I've got a great group of people, but I was a little worried that they'd be like, oh, why does he think he can coach us? Oh, now he's the owner, he thinks he can coach, that sort of thing. That was totally in my head. And the first 30 seconds of coaching the first class, I realized that was not the case. So any kind of fear, it was all just my own confidence or lack of it at that point.
Is there anything that you did to try to earn or build trust with the members as well? Like to be like, hey, I was one of you. Now I'm on this side. So here's something I can do. Or
I didn't try to do anything extra. I'll be honest. I really let them see me work hard. Like I worked very, very hard to get good at this. And I took every CEU that was available to me. I did every seminar that was available to me. I took my L2 as soon as I could. I've got my L3 now. Like I just don't stop working there. I'm not afraid to do anything in that space. And I think over time they realized that it wasn't a vanity thing for me to buy it. I truthfully said yes because I couldn't imagine having to go find another place similar to it. That was the first, when I said yes in a split second, that was my thought. It wasn't, I'm going to own 1827.
Yeah.
It was, I don't know where I'm going to find this again. So if he's asking me to hold on to it, I'm going to do it. And then we just figured it out after that by asking Curtis a lot of questions, and he was great. He would, if I wasn't doing things properly, like as coaches, we have to write out our notes before each class.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's checking him anymore. He used to check mine a lot just to kind of see how a new coach was doing, which we do. But nobody was ever going, I need to see your coach's notes. And there was a point where I found writing them out wasn't helping me. It was almost adding a little bit of stress because I'd be like, oh shit, I'm 2 minutes beyond where I'm supposed to be. So I started doing the class in my brain. And I forget how it came up, but it wasn't working properly.
Sure.
And he's like, well, how are your notes going? And I was like, well, I'm not actually writing the notes anymore. I'm doing it all in my head. And so I kind of got called into the principal's office about that. And that was a great thing. It kind of put me back and was like, yeah, you need to really work at this a little bit more and dial this in a little bit.
I want to just right there freeze in that moment, Principal Belt, you said Principal Zach Morris, Principal
Yeah.
Belt, hit freeze. But so just for those listening, so they understand again, if we're following along, you are, but in this case, you were the owner of the facility. You were coaching.
Yeah.
You were coaching a way that you wanted to do it, but your head coach had the authority, and you gave and created the space for him to say, hey, Greg, we need to have a talk about the way that you're doing this thing.
Yes.
How, I think that's so underutilized, and kudos to you for being a humble person, but let's not underestimate the fact that you've grown your facility. You've almost doubled in size from when you first started.
Tripled, actually.
Triple. See there, right? You've tripled, and you can sit and be like, oh, it's because of this, because it's this, it's because of this, or maybe it's because you've just taken this beginner's mindset from the beginning and created a space where, if it's for the good of the business, then someone is in their right to call you out on it.
And it's not just Curtis, the head coach. He was great at doing it.
Yeah.
But even our newest coach and our youngest staff member, Matt, I think he's 21, 22. He's called me out on a few different things sometimes. And he's like, hey, I don't know. Sometimes on Instagram, I can get petty, and I'll see things about other fitness industries, and I'll be like, can I make this post, please? Can I please make this post?
Yeah.
And they're always good. They're like, no, you're better than that. You're better than that. Or they'll talk me down, or Matt's corrected me on a couple classes that I was doing. But yeah, everybody, I think what happened was when I took over, not knowing how to do anything when it came to running the gym, I realized that I needed to rely on a lot of people, and I was happy to give everybody roles. So of our staff, we've got 11, including myself. Let's see, 6 to 7 of them have different roles within the gym.
Okay.
So everybody has their coaching hat, but everybody else is responsible for different aspects of the gym. So everybody has a sense of ownership there. And the ones that don't are just too busy outside of the gym to have extra stuff on there.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a manager, we've got admin, we've got the head coach, we've got someone who takes care of our website and our media. We've got all that. I assist with the kids program, so we have a kids coach, but everybody knows that they are valuable, and there's nobody that, my opinion doesn't outweigh anybody else's opinion, and they're not afraid to speak up.
How much of that did you pull from the transportation business? And I guess when I mean pull from, it's realizing logistics is a team effort. You can't be everyone to everything when you have different time zones, different schedules, different everything. You have to have a team. So while yes, you're new to constantly varied functional movement executed at high intensity, you weren't new to building a team and working together and interacting with people.
Yeah, that's a good point. So when I started the freight company, back then there was a term called silos in the sales word, which was pretty popular.
Yeah.
But you, myself, anyone watching this, we've all called Bell or Rogers and got put on hold, talk to somebody else, put on hold, talk to somebody else, put on hold, talk to somebody else. And those are the silos that I was trying to avoid with the freight company.
Yeah.
So any employees that I had with freight, the thing that set us apart versus other freight brokerages or transportation was we didn't have a sales guy. We didn't have a dispatcher. or a tracker or tracer or an invoice person. We did it all. So if I had a list of customers, I would handle their quotes. I would find the carrier, I would book the carrier, and I would be the one sending the invoice. So if there was ever an issue, I knew everything about start to finish. So hiring new people in the freight industry, I had to teach them about the freight industry essentially, but they learned really quickly and had a lot of confidence handling the quoting, the customer service, the dispatching, and the invoicing. So I guess somewhere in my head, subconsciously, I would have thought the same with the coaches. So rather than having someone just show up for their Friday at 9 a.m. and noon class to coach, no, we give them a lot of opportunities to have a say. So whether you're coaching 2 hours or you're coaching 20 hours, everybody knows our systems now. Everybody's audited somebody and everybody's been audited. So of our coaches, they're all audited every 6 to 8 weeks, but it's not by me, it's by everybody. So I get audited by Matt or Carly or Sammy, and we all do the same thing. So everybody feels just like this. So if a member, because not all members maybe feel comfortable coming up to me for different reasons.
Sure.
They know that if they go to Sammy or if they go to Maggie, they're going to get an answer that is reflective of the whole staff. And Maggie and Sammy feel confident giving answers that are reflective of the whole staff as well.
Mm-hmm. And that's maybe not everyone's cup of tea, but that's the beauty of this model, is it doesn't need to be.
That's the best part of us not being a franchise, being told what to do. And I love it. I love the model of the CrossFit affiliate. We get what we need out of it. If we have a question, I mean, Carrie Ann gets back to you right away. We've got the best country leader we could have. There's been a few times where we've had to go through CrossFit Legal just for IP stuff for other gyms in town. Mm-hmm. It's nice to know, like, once you send a message off, I can kind of just do this. And it's been handled both times. So I really enjoy having the backing of CrossFit, which I think we talked about, like our big logo wall.
Yeah, well, that's what we haven't talked about it officially, but as I'd said through email, like, yeah, what is your favorite wall in your gym that you call it, that you meticulously paint every week?
Our CrossFit wall, I love it. Like, we're leaning into that for sure. Like, you can do CrossFit, you could do it anywhere, and there's people that try to do it, and there's people that, I don't want to say steal, they borrow from it a lot maybe, and they'll put CF in their name or call it community fitness or collective fitness or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But we know CrossFit when we see CrossFit, and I'm happy to lean into that. So
they'll call it a functional training gym or a functional fitness gym.
Right. We know what it is. So I always was like, we're CrossFit. So that was one of the first things I did. That wall was black because it's our handstand push-up wall, and it just gets dirty. I was like, well, I'm going to just keep painting it. So that's what we do. Yeah, I love that wall.
How big is, for those who haven't ever seen, or, I mean, you should go on your Instagram, CrossFit 1827, but how big is the wall? Like, so how big is the CrossFit logo on your wall?
Yeah, it's at least, it's about 4 mats long. So maybe 3.5 mats. So 18 feet, 20 feet. Yeah, it's big.
And I mean, I think we're very similar mindset in the sense of, like, by putting CrossFit big and bold on your wall, it doesn't, in the way it doesn't do anything for you, but in a way it does everything for you, because, at least this is my opinion, you're already nodding your head, it says, I'm a CrossFit affiliate. We operate this way. We try to uphold these standards. I'm not talking about squat depth or chin over the bar. I'm talking about as trainers.
Yeah.
And it just gives inspiration and accountability to just constantly be trying to represent the brand the best way.
Someone said it's like we planted the flag, right?
Yeah.
That's what we did. We have a big sign in our backyard. So we're in an industrial area, so we've got a big parking lot in the back that never gets used other than for the gym. It's not like a commercial parking lot. So we've got our tires and sleds and stuff, but you never know it unless you're coming to the gym and you park in the back. But we have a gigantic CrossFit sign out there too. So you know when you pull up, it's CrossFit outside.
Yeah. And how important is it for you, even in this short time, then, like, with that being said, to, like, you already said, like, you've done the level 1, then the level 2, now you're level 3. You technically, what, I guess, if you had done it by the book, you still would only have to renew your or get your level 2 next year, right?
That's right.
2021,
Yeah.
26. So
Yeah.
instead of waiting the 5 years to get your level 2, you now have your level 3.
Yeah.
How
Do you
important?
have you done that yet?
My level 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually up for renewal this month. This will be my third go around.
Nice.
But
It's
same
a great
idea.
accomplishment, hey?
What's that? It
It's a,
is. It's and it's. But I don't think people appreciate it enough of, like, what it sets the tone for your coaches, where they're like, oh wow, like, this guy
exactly.
this guy cares about it.
Yeah.
And then, we've lucky enough created a culture where, like, the second coach got it, and then who's going to be the third, who's going to be
That's
the
cool.
fourth. And now I already said at our last meeting, I was like, hey, I want 3 more level 3s by this time next year. Like,
Yeah, I love that.
let's
We've
go.
got one, possibly two that are working on it.
Yeah.
We've got 8 L2s, so we've got a few that are pretty close to doing it. But like you understand doing it. It's not something you can just kind of go, I think I'll write it. Like you need to hammer away at this thing. And
Mhm.
it was so fun to have a goal. So I remember when I signed up for it, I finished my L2 and Pete Shaw, he's like, all right, now everybody's next goal is to get your L3. And we were just doing the cool down. And I was like, geez, I just got my L2, man. Like, but something about it, I was like, you know what? You're right. So that was early May. And
Mhm.
then, so I wrote it May 30th. I applied for it because I knew I needed that 1 year. I needed a number and a date in advance to tell myself to start preparing for this thing.
Okay.
Yeah, but I loved it. I loved every part of studying. I was reading on planes. I was reading in Punta Cana on the beach. Like it was great. It was great. I recommend it to anybody for sure. And don't wait. Like why you're just putting off more education, which is kind of I don't want to say dumb, but there's no
More
point in waiting to do
opportunities
that.
to get better and to, like, to serve your people, and you learn more. It's just that's the whole point of pursuing education, is learning more, right? You learn
Yeah,
more
and as
ways.
the owner, you're leading from the front in some ways, right? Like
Mm.
you try to make it all this, but there are opportunities for you to lead by example, and this was one of them for me.
What about the methodology kept you going back? Or because, I'm just fascinated by the, like, you just wanted to be a good member, got your
Yeah.
level 1, and yet now it's like, man, the more you unpack it and the more you dig into it, what do you think has, like, caught your eye or kept you
Yeah.
hooked on it?
I like the accessibility of it. I love that it's a sport that literally anyone can do if you choose to do it. Like we've got a great example. We've got 2 grandparents at the gym, their 3 daughters, 2 of their spouses, 3 of their kids. So we've
Wow.
got 3 generations that are there regularly. I enjoy that my youngest likes going to the gym and she does the CrossFit Kids classes. Yesterday I got to be a parent and I just sat and watched, and that was kind of cool because usually I coach with one of our other coaches, Jenna. But we had another coach jump in and help out. So I like that when Kim, my wife, goes to the 9 a.m. class and I'll go to the noon, we can talk about our workouts, and I'll see people at school pickup, and I'll see them in 30 or 40 minutes here that have done the early morning classes, or
Yeah.
a couple that are going straight from school to the afternoon classes. I love the accessibility of it. I love that it doesn't push people away. Like it will bring people in a little bit closer, which I think is getting back to what we talked about with COVID, where that's what people missed, right? the whole, and again, I don't want to keep using the word community because it's a little bit overused, but
a
that's what
culture. I think that
yeah.
you're creating a culture where it brings people together, right? Like,
Yeah.
and that's what we do here. We come together maybe at different times in different ways, but we still assemble together and do this thing called CrossFit.
We've got people that are rehabbing injuries. We've got people that are rehabbing and they join because their doctor prescribed it, basically. We've got people with physical disabilities. We've got grandmothers. Our oldest, I think, is 79. Like, we've got everybody there. And I always try to do, if I'm going to give a tour of the gym to a new person who's never been and they don't know what CrossFit is, I try to time it when there's a class going on so that we can see the board talk. They can see what that part of it is, because that's an important part of CrossFit, which maybe other gyms don't do as well as we do, of course. So they get to see that part of it. But then they get to see the warm up when people are chatting. And I'm like, take a look around. There's no phones. Like, maybe somebody got an emergency email, whatever, but people are talking to each other. And it's our university students. So we got 19, 20, 21-year-olds talking to the 40-year-olds that are there on their lunch break, talking to the 60-year-old retirees, talking to the grandparents. And that's a unique thing nowadays where people, they don't do this, right? They don't talk. And that's a skill that's being developed there as well. And it's something that unless you you step back and watch it, as a coach, you see it because you're hoping they chat. That means you get to catch your breath a little bit. But having a new person in there and they're like, well, I don't understand what CrossFit is. And I'm like, this is a great microcosm of what CrossFit is. This whiteboard, the warm up, that 10 minutes is as big a reason why people come back as the next 50 minutes, in my opinion.
No, yeah, 100%. And even like, I think as you say that, like, I think about the buffer time that you put in between classes. You're creating opportunities to foster that culture and connection. And we don't have a buffer time between classes, but I try to then emphasize that with having a space that they can go to sit down.
Yeah, like a lobby.
Yeah, like exactly. Like we have almost like a exposed, not locker room where people change, but benches, coat hooks, and just even truly the past fall, I made it like this U shape because I wanted
it's perfect
to sit and face each other and continue those connections later. But even to the point of like, I sometimes have to tell a coach like, hey, Greg, it's not important that you take the class to 6:57 every day. In fact, if you did 6:51 and you let the 6 and 7 a.m. interact, you're providing more value than any 6-minute finisher could.
Exactly. I find for myself too, I coach 2 to 4 hours a week. But I try to sprinkle my classes out for those reasons. Like Thursdays, I'll go to the 6:50 a.m. class because I can see the 5:45s leaving. I can see the 7:55s coming in. Tuesdays, I go to the 4, so I see them, and then I see the 5:10s coming in after that. It's important to see and to have an opportunity for them to see everybody as well as it is for us.
I think, tangibly, those are like the little details that go a long way and have gotten to you guys to where they are. And if not those things, it's the giant logo on your wall and waving the flag. So keep doing that. And on that note, 3, 2, 1, time.